My Licorice is alive with Billy Strayhorn's magical meditation and melody Daydream. Written in 1939 and first performed by Johnny Hodges the following year, Daydream has been a go-to jazz standard for both singer and instrumentalists. Check out June Christie's take on vocals or LA's very own troubadour on the trumpet, Art Farmer. Both versions will take you there, wherever there is. And if you find out where, please shoot me an email and let me know. I'll join you. In the meantime, I hope you dug my short take of Daydream on the Licorice. Okay, welcome folks to another installment of Rebel Without Applause, coming to you from my nutshell of infinite space. By that I mean my television studio apartment right here in the creative cradle known as Crotona, nestled in the wood of my holly, under the sign that overlooks the COVID-addled but somehow, someway, still enchanted land of law. And I'm sitting here trying to make sense of the moment. And the truth is, folks, there is no sense in this moment. This moment, born of calamity, chance, and ignorance, seems at once to offer opportunity and catastrophe all at once. Will this moment yield a giant jolt of progress, or perhaps, tragically, are we poised at the lip of a great abyss, or locked inside some giant loop out of which it may take generations or even a millennium to escape from? This is the mystery of the moment, at least for me. And so, hunkered as we are in our individual foxholes, our view of the battlefield is circumscribed and limited. So what the hell? Let's loosen the tethers. Let our sails fill with wind. Let's do as Strayhorn instructed. Close our eyes, dream the day away. Mein Schiff mit 8 Segeln, my ship with 8 sails, drifts from the harbor with the outgoing tide. I set a course to I know not where, and let the mists of time and space enshroud me. Then, as if on command, the wind stiffens. My tiller swings free, and I skip the light fantastic to a different time, a different place. I see it now. I feel it. Am somewhere in Maryland, flat on my stomach on a moist patch of earth, just north of a place called Sharpsburg and a creek called Antietam. To the south is the Potomac River and Virginia and the whole godforsaken Confederate States of America. I make an entry in my diary. September 17, 1862. Hold on, my pocket watch. 8:30 a.m. From over the lip of my little earthly depression, I see the distant flash of cannon. I hear the bundled roar of musketry rolling out of distant hillsides, and from somewhere behind an impenetrable, tightly woven thicket of leaf and branch, I can feel the quake-like thunder of horses' hooves. In the foreground, I see nothing but a field crisscrossed by broken fence. The earth is upturned and overturned, the telltale marker of spent artillery. To my left, just a few yards away, is the splendid, deadly Confederate carnage of 2 horses and an overturned wagon. And directly in front of me, almost within arm's length, is the mangled mess of a headless rebel, his hands still clutching his blood-spattered musket, his corpse still warm from the last charge. They come like clockwork, on the hour, every hour. From out of the thicket they come, their bayonets and battle flags showing just above the head-high corn. They trudge past a half-burnt barn, then disappear down a shallow creek bed before they emerge out of a small depression into a grass clearing that stretches before us. Then the order comes. A hailstorm of musketry and mini-balls, grape shot and canister rakes the field, and the Southern boys fall like toy soldiers to the turf. Those still standing stagger back across the field from which they came. Then 1 hour later, the poor fools come again, and the death dance begins anew. And with each charge, their ranks diminish, their lines slightly thinner than the last. And so it goes. As the sun reaches towards its apex, my mouth is dry as dust, and dag-blasted, my canteen is empty. I should have filled it in that last creek, but the water was red. Just above the thick layer of smoke-laden mist, I see the tippy tops of blue and gray battle flags, their tattered banners limp in the late morning stillness, and then, as if on cue, those boys emerge out of the mist in broken rank and uneven file, their rifles angled off their hips, their tattered uniforms yielding to the exposed flesh of elbows and kneecaps, and their eyes wide with fear. First they walk, then they trot, and finally a bugle blares and an officer on horseback. I see him clearly in the distance beside that barn. He's a young bloke, no more than a score of years, delicate and tender and even princely in his demeanor, raises his saber and screams for all of this earthly kingdom, "Yip, yip, yay!" And then the southern boys run towards me. Their mouths go wide, and a shrill like rebel scream escapes them. Taken together, their screams are a rude, harrowing chorus born of fear and fury, and God knows of what devil they are possessed. Why on God's earth would these crackers yield up their existence so a handful of Carolina colonels can own slaves? Those dumbass sons of bitches, they deserve to die. I squeeze myself into my earthly depression. Maybe if I press hard enough, I can render myself invisible. Maybe I can will myself into nothingness, and then when the current conflagration subsides, I can reappear no worse for the wear. But alas, no amount of wishing can make me disappear save death. And right now, that is not my preferred course. I'm stuck in this hellhole of a place, this nightmare of a moment. There is no escape, not for me or any of the poor fools of my sorry excuse for a regiment. My breath is shallow and measured. My heart thumps madly. Should I run? Should I play dead? I want to live. Oh, God, please. I want sexual congress. I want the love of an angel and the kiss of a whore. I want. Steady, man, steady. Stare down the length of your rifle. And there it is again. The muzzled flash of Confederate musketry. The rebs of firing. A mini-ball splinters into a tree trunk just a few feet from my shoulder. Holy of holies, this may be it. This may be my moment. I hope not. I pray not. God, if you're listening, spare me, please. I want to live. Goddamn Jeff Davis and that graybeard Bobby Lee and John Calhoun and all those reb devils. The gap narrows between myself and the screaming dervishes, led by that baby prince on horseback. And then out of the mayhem comes a kind of stillness, not from without, but from within. Upon my life, my soul rolls back unto itself, and the words of that Danish prince flood into my brain. Witness this army of such mass and charge, led by a delicate and tender prince whose spirit with divine ambition puffed makes mouths at the invisible event, exposing what is mortal and unsure to all that fortune, death, and danger dare, even for an eggshell. There's a spattering of musket fire to my left. A pair of rebels tumble to the turf, but Hamlet's words flood my brain. They seem even to fortify me. And splayed out in the field before me, I see the imminent death of 20,000 men that for a fantasy and trick of fame go to their graves like beds, fight for a plot whereon the numbers cannot try the cause, which is not tomb enough in continent to hide the slain. Oh, from this time forth my thoughts be bloody or be nothing worth. Ah! The smell of sulfur and saltpeter and hell precedes an impenetrable blanket of smoke that rolls across the field, obscuring everything and all from view. All is quiet, surreal, otherworldly. An early morning breeze rustles the leaves, and the smoke, which lay like a blanket across that cornfield, clears. Some muffled groans perforate the silence. I peer out and over my shallow grave. Not 20 yards away I see the rebel battle flags. The stars and bars lay like picnic blankets on the turf. I see a mangled splotch of gray cloth and gold button that just was that young prince. I see bloody mounds of Confederate flesh on green earth. 1 second they were here, filled with vanity and fear and idiocy, the next second dispatched to eternity for all time. Then that bastard Connecticut captain gallops forth. Hold tight, boys! The day is almost won. Hold tight, boys! Grab a biscuit, take a swig whilst you can. And so the ceaseless rhythm of battle begins anew. Reload, refresh, and reposition. Bleary-eyed, thirst-crazed, and concussed, I stumble out of my shallow would-be grave and shuffle past the dead. Faces upturned, mouths agape, eyes wide, bodies distorted and entangled. And yet forward we march, indifferent to the carnage. Across that creek and past the burnt-out barn, 100 yards closer to the thicket at the far end of the field, 100 yards closer to Sharpsburg, 100 yards closer to Lee and Stonewall, 100 yards closer to the Confederate capital, Richmond. Then comes a shout from the rear. Fresh orders. A new position. The Rebs were on the run. Into the thicket we marched double time. We trudged down a shallow incline, around boulders, past overturned cannon and dead, bloated horses, across another nameless creek and up a dense thicket of leaf and branch, till we came upon another field, beside which stood Dunkirk Church. Just a simple white structure built, so I am told, by German pacifists, Quakers or Baptists, I know not which, and somehow, as if by providential command, the Dunkirk Church lay unscarred by battle. Maybe there is a God, or maybe it's just a cruel joke, but the irony did not escape. Either way, the field was thick with corn and unharvested cotton. I think it was cotton. Hell, I'd never been this far south, and I ain't never seen cotton this way out of the ground. Fleecy fibers of white, they looked like palm-sized snowballs. And then the orders came. Pause and reorganize, and I gratefully settled in behind a rotting log. I pulled a clump of hardtack from my pack, took a chomp and chewed and waited. For what, I did not know. Nor did I care to know. Maybe we march, maybe we hunker, maybe defend, maybe attack, defend, attack, retreat, like I had a score of times before, but it did not matter. Nothing mattered. I am but a fly speck on a canvas of the infinite. I am but a dot of nothing. I am illusion and I am metaphor. I am of the valley and of the shadow. I am of the dead disguised as the living. I am an unholy angel of death. I am all, and I am nothing. and so utter exhaustion overwhelms. Untethered as I am from time and space, I drift to slumber and embrace the all-encompassing, ever-loving land of sleep. God damn, it's a miracle I'm still alive. At least I think I'm alive. Or maybe I'm already dead and nobody had the courtesy to let me know. Till next time, folks, namaste, shalom, and aloha. From the battlefield that was Antietam, Nama Shaloha.